Will Malaysia contend, or are they gonna get that Momo Chan? What a prediction on point.
It reminds me on hard act.
Has an answer.
Yeah, let's see. It's quite maybe a little bit tricky here because they will bring that Franco jungler. It's new for me. To be honest. But I really like that Min Sitar pick here. So we will see what will Malaysia do with this Franco jungler. But Dija will comes and try to
As long you
That's what I got from the Garuda's exhibitor.
All right. Welcome back again with me, Gary Eka, on Iesf 14 World Esports Championship 2022 Bali. And like you said before, we are still on the air stage. All right, guys, second match of the day, still on the Mobile Legends Bang Bang Iesf 14 World Esports Championship. We have another big match for today on upper bracket. But before we go into the match, I would like to give you another information about Iesf 14 World Esports Championship. Here we have more than 600 international athletes, 106 countries, and more than 596 offline matches. This is make the Iesf 14 World Esports Championship as the esport event with the most nationality competing offline and the largest outdoor esports competition in Southeast Asia with 6 games including CSGO, Dota 2, Mobile Legends Bang Bang, PUBG Mobile, eFootball 2023, and Tekken 7. And especially for the CSGO, there's not only a CSGO male, but we also have the first CSGO female tournament of the year. All right, guys, let us invite both of the teams who will be competing on the second match for today. The first, please welcome the home of the Paulo Dybala, Lionel Messi, Argentina! All right, here it is. The boys from Argentina. Hola, amigos. Let's go. They are very ready for the second match of today. And, of course, the second team, the home team. Please welcome Indonesia! Mungkin dalam kancah sepak bola Indonesia tidak ada apa-apanya dengan Argentina. Tapi inilah dia. Ini rumah kita. Ini saatnya kita akan buktikan. Kalau mungkin kita kalah di sepak bola, kita libas mereka di Mobile Legends Bang Bang. Are you ready for today? Los estamos. How you say good luck in Argentina?
Buena suerte.
Buena suerte ya teman-teman ya. Oke, ready? Hari ini gimana? Ready. All right. This is the second match of Mobile Legends Bang Bang. Iesf 14 World Esports Championship between Argentina versus Indonesia. You guys can handshake each other. Good luck for everyone. All right. You guys can going to your room and then yeah. This is it. This is the time who will be going to the upper bracket with Cambodia. Is it Argentina or Indonesia? Oh, will be a good match for today. All right, let's take to the caster that will lead the game for today. Please welcome once again Mirko and Arashikes.
Thank you so much, Musgare, for the wonderful introduction as we are here on the caster desk for day number 3, Arashi. It's just going on super fast because of all the crazy, crazy matches. And hey, we got another one for you. Argentina versus Indonesia with Mirko,
Arashi,
and a whole lot of fun.
just a whole lot of fun here. I mean, Argentina has shown that despite being a very young region, it doesn't matter. They are here to compete, and they've shown discipline and creativity, and more than anything, discipline and that calculative approach to this game. So Indonesia has shown that they can do that as well. Now the question is, can Argentina adjust better or even more dynamically than Indonesia can? Because we saw that they were able to take down the favorites of the tournament, actually.
Philippines was actually knocked down to the lower brackets by Team Indonesia. But obviously Argentina here coming in as, like you mentioned, a young region will still have a lot to prove. Sure, they did get a victory up against Slovenia, but now they're up against Indonesia. So I think it's kind of safe to say that currently, with Indonesia beating Philippines, they are the tournament favorites now.
In a way, right? You got to beat the man to be the man. So Indonesia has done exactly that. And everyone else will have a chance to actually do the exact same thing. That is why the competition is just getting hotter and hotter right now. And it's a hot day as well in Bali, so the players must be feeling this competitive heat.
For sure, right? That kind of pushes them, actually, to go even further, honestly, in this performance in the day as well, up against one another. Argentina, like you mentioned, a very young team, a very young country in Mlbb. In terms of Mlbb, but so far, we've seen that discipline. I really want to highlight the discipline here coming in from Argentina because that's something we don't usually see from a region that is still so new to Mlbb. We usually see that younger countries, in terms of the development of Mlbb, they tend to go for more team fights, more micro-heavy gameplay. But yesterday, we saw an Argentina that focused primarily on outclassing their opponents via macro, via rotations.
I was about to say the exact same thing. This is why it's so impressive. And it shows, again, if you come in later into the stage, yes, you have less time essentially on the air of experience, but at the same time, you have seen and you have learned from all the mistakes and experiences that the other older teams have done. So, with out of nowhere, they showed very competent macro skills, which usually comes later on after the initial team fights, mechanics, etc.
Before we get deeper into the matchup though, Arashi, Iesf 14th World Esports Championships is supported by wonderful Indonesia, Kemenpora, NOC, and Connie. And we would love to give our special thanks to the sponsors right here with JHL Group, JHL Auto, Nusa Pay, DAS, Gudang Crypto, Pertamina, Taiwan Excellence, Hydro Coco, not forgetting obviously IndiHome, Telkomsel, HIN, Episode Hotel. We also have our beautiful venue right here, which we're having all the events on. Merusaka Nusa Dua, Mineski Global, Indonesia Football E-League, ESID, and Lemon ID.
And of course, our media partners who have led so much support to the event. We have Net TV, we have Trans7, we have Detikcom, we have Esport ID, we have Video.com, we have Dunia Games, Dance TV, Dance Play, Merah Putih, Bola Score, and Kami Bijak.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Everyone here to help Iesf to be as great as it is currently. And we've seen some crazy games. We've seen some upsets. Indonesia winning 2-0 over Philippines. And just earlier today, Malaysia, one of the tournament favorites as well, falling to Cambodia 2-1. You can see it here, the official recap for day 1 and day 2. And one match from today. And it's looking really hot, like you mentioned. Cambodia will be progressing to the next stage in the upper brackets, to the upper bracket finals. And this match currently, Argentina versus Indonesia, will determine who's going to go up and face Cambodia up there as well.
It's the first 2-1 in the tournament right here, if you can see, at the playoff brackets. And of course, we'll see if Argentina and Indonesia will be as close, because these are two teams that are very, very competent and they absolutely have what it takes to beat each other, and that is what makes it so worrying for any supporter of Argentina or Indonesia.
And also, you know, if you're a team here, Indonesia, Argentina, with Papa Dog and Dreams, as you can see, the team versus screen, we need to talk a little bit about how dangerous it is for them if they do lose, right? Because obviously, they will still have another chance in the lower brackets. The big question is, well, not the big question, the big statement here is, for me, I don't think any of these teams want to go to the lower brackets because they will be facing Philippines, right? So here we are also going to take a look at the player head-to-head for Civ and Brands, two goal laners who have shown incredible class in both day 1 and day 2 so far of the tournament.
Higher GPM for Civ, but a higher KDA for Brands. Maybe it highlights the difference, right? We talked about the difference of playstyles, macro versus micro. So far, the Indonesian team has had a more aggressive approach, whereas for the Argentinians, they are perfectly content just outmaneuvering, outsmarting their opponents. And that doesn't mean that they're necessarily afraid of fights, but it does show in the statistics.
It does. GPM, actually, higher for Civ. As we all know, Brands in Indonesia, one of, if not the best farmers in the gold lane, gets that gold super high to get those items. But in this tournament so far, we've actually seen that Civ is a bit more efficient when it comes down to laning and farming, whereas Brands has been super active around the map, rotating and helping around the neutral objective fights.
Well, that's a concern for Argentina. If Indonesia goes for that heavy-handed early game approach, can they still maintain that macro play? Because when it's easy to do if everything is going as planned, but when the going gets tough, when you get hit in the face, that's where your adjustments need to be on point and on the fly as well. So if Indonesia can push the pressure, right, make it very difficult for Argentina to adjust, that might mean the early game might be dominated by Indonesia.
We'll see. I think both teams have shown that they can compete for that early game from their previous games here, but we are going to get ready to jump in to the draft right now, as we are going to see the faces as well of both of the country's representatives. Argentina on the blue side in the first game's draft, Indonesia on the red, and this hero, Joy, I just want to get this over with instantly. We're not going to see it anymore. Cambodia-Malaysia match, that's the only time we'll ever see Joy in this tournament.
I think that has to be the case, man. Any team that watched that game needs to understand how absurd this hero is at the current point in time. And I think for now, it just means that any team playing for the first pick will have a bit of an advantage because the second pick will always have to ban out that Joy.
The Joy, I can't believe it, right? We were amazed, actually, at how much the Joy could do. She could tank, she could sustain, she could deal damage, and she is unkillable because she's so mobile. That, I think, is the most important one to highlight here. The most important thing to highlight when you're talking about Joy, because it doesn't really matter how tanky you are. If you're able to dodge everything with those dashes that reset, and if you're able to play with the rhythm properly, that passive, it's almost like it's 100% win guaranteed.
I mean, you also have a lot of crowd control immunity, and if you take a vengeance like Deja did in the first match, that just allows you to take even more damage. And with the nature of the hero, we can see that the sustain is completely absurd. I mean, I was yapping all about it after the first match. Now let's get straight with it. 1-1 and Iesf ban away. Indonesia wanting to ensure that there won't be any kite back shenanigans from Argentina. And Argentina wanting to make sure that they don't get slowed down, because that is what Indonesia needs to get their hands onto the Argentinian members.
Argentina so far in their match up against Slovenia, we've only seen them play early game compositions, right? We haven't seen them get taken to that later stage, like you mentioned. So maybe this might be it for Indonesia. They might actually want to prolong the game. Played a bit passively here up against Argentina, who is definitely a threat now for everyone. They are, I believe, the dark horses here. None of the teams in the upper brackets and even in the lower brackets currently can be overlooked, as we are going to see the final ban from Team Indonesia. 1-1, Joy, but Leomord, Martis, both still up for grabs. And I think it should be amongst those two, maybe even the Valentina if they want to just throw it out there. But it's actually going to be the Diggy here that's banned out by Indonesia.
The Kaja is still available for both teams to pick up as well. It'll all hinge on the last ban from Argentina and the first pick. because it seems like there's a lot of very good heroes available, and I think that in a way gives Indonesia a bit of an advantage. So now, what they ban will for sure decide what they pick up as well. Are they going to go for that obnoxious early game to enable the rotations and the gameplay, or are they going to go for something a bit more aggressive and it's going to be an Atlas first pick? Whoa.
It does seem like Argentina have missed their third ban. I'm looking at it right now. Only 2 bans from Team Argentina, so we'll get this sorted out. I don't know if this is a mistake, but we will give you information right as we get it. Diggy was the final ban for Team Indonesia right now, as we are going to see the second pick come off, or the first pick from Indonesia on that red side. With the Atlas pick, Indonesia can just safely pick up the Akai. We know that the Akai has just been a solid counter towards these Atlas compositions. It can also be flexed over to the XP lane and the jungle. But another hero that's open, a signature pick for Taz, the Fanny, and Dreams, who was able to really pop off on the Kaja. He gets a comfort pick as well.
2 comfort picks for the Indonesian side. And we have to talk about Taz on that Fanny.
Man.
This man is an absolute menace. Mechanical skills for days on this Fanny pick. And we've seen a lot of teams respect Bennett against Indonesia. So we'll see if this will come to haunt Argentina later on. They go for that Fredrin. Solid front line, solid crowd control, and quite the dominant, sustainable lane in the off lane. So already a difference in priorities for both these teams. But you can see that the Roamer pick is so important. It sets the tone for the early game, and it's the main tool you rely on when you need to get information, when you need to catch people off guard. And as we talk about utility, Faramis pops up.
Man, this is a team fight composition that we have seen yesterday as well from Argentina. We saw that when Erwin gets his hands on the Atlas, those flashy plays do come through. With the addition of the Faramis to provide utility with that called altar and a bit more sustainability to the team, it's pretty solid. The thing is, though, you gotta take a look at Indonesia's composition here with the Fanny that kind of nullifies that clumped up style of play that Argentina are looking to go for. Indonesia can definitely now look for more pick-off heroes, more stronger laners in general to find the winning lane, and to maybe snowball from the get-go. We mentioned late game. Maybe Indonesia wants to go for that, but so far in their draft, it feels completely early game. We want to get it rolling from the start. And with the Beatrix pick here, that's another hero with a lot of AoE damage that can really nullify this cult altar.
Aside from just the AoE damage, you have to talk about the wave clear. Right now, Kaja, Fanny, Beatrix, that's a lot of wave clear for Argentina to contend with. And we talked about it again and again, as always. But when you want to have good macro game, you need to have good wave clear to establish your lane dominance, your lane pressure. Otherwise, you are stuck watching for those minion waves, and you cannot rotate as efficiently. For Argentina, Faramis and Fredrin, they're okay, but I don't think so far their composition can even compare to the amount of wave clear that Indonesia has. And I think that is going to be completely abused unless Argentina picks something up for themselves.
Well, we'll have to see how it plays out, Arashi, as we are going to see the Hayabusa get banned out for Indonesia here. They actually opted to go for that, knowing that yesterday Jotun was able to have such an amazing performance, juking Team Slovenia out with that Hayabusa on that quad shadow. But now it's a respect ban towards Sycots, who is also a menace on that Yuzong. Good respect bans coming in from Argentina and Indonesia in the second phase, and you can kind of expect Indonesia now to start narrowing down the jungle. Just keep going down, or maybe just try to take away the heroes that can lock the Fanny down. Because right now, what Argentina are lacking is that single target lockdown that can really stop the Fanny.
And if you look at the options available, not really much. I mean, the Franco could be an option, but Argentina have way too many heroes that would actually make it to the roamer position. And now Brody has also been banned by Indonesia. That's some good crowd control. Usually another option we see is the Moskov, I was about to say, with a knockback, with the stun as well, and the mobility. All solid choices, unless Indonesia can come up with something to deter that completely, although Argentina will ban away that Benedetta as well.
We haven't seen a whole lot of the Paquito here, but it is Sycots' comfort hero back when he was in the MDL. In the MPL, it was banned from him completely. But here he does have a chance to actually pick that up. Go for the Paquito in the XP lane. And for the mid lane, Hijume, usually likes to go for just the Lilias, the Iesf, that right now has been banned out. So the option for Hijume is most probably the Lilia, the Farsa.
Lilia makes sense, a bit more survivability, a lot of AoE damage in the big fights, and just as we say that, it does get locked in. And now for Argentina, what could it be, man? They need some DPS for sure, and this is the problem. When you're in the current meta, anything can be played in the jungle almost. It can be a utility tank, it can be marksman-ish, it can be assassin-orientated, and considering that they're against Fanny, I think a fighter makes sense. But then they'll be very, very locked in into a front-to-back situation. And Indonesia, the flanks we saw from side cuts have been very, very dangerous. So they go for the Karina, can be used as a tank as well. And they have that Melissa to deter all these dive potential.
There you go. That's the answer we were waiting for, right? Up against a team like Indonesia with the Fanny, with someone that can just dive into that back line, you need someone to be able to cover. And looking at Team Argentina's composition before they picked the Melissa, wait a minute. Brands is hovering over the Roger currently. Grr, yeah, absolutely. But we'll see. Arashi.
No way.
Is this going to be, are they trying to pull off the double retribution strat?
I'll have to say that so many teams have been doing this to the casters. Can you please stop? This is not okay, man. You're giving us a lot of false hope here. And I don't think it's gonna be that Roger. Unfortunately, they are hovering on the Lapu Lapu. Yet another dive hero, a good engage, and crowd control. More than anything, crowd control has been so critical in ensuring that your team gets that slight edge, especially when both teams are positioning, are maneuvering so well in that mid to late game.
Zace, he just loves it, man. He loves playing with the casters there, with hover over the
Come on,
Roger.
Zace.
Come on, Zace. Don't give us hope. Pick it up, man. Come on, man. Maybe
Pick
next
it.
time we'll see it.
Do
but
it.
Maybe they're saving it for later. But here, up against Argentina with Karina, picked up by Jotun and Civ. I do want to finish what I started earlier, that statement. With the Melissa's go away, that provides easy cover. And she can be quite independent in that gold lane, where usually, again, Team Argentina can play and look towards that XP lane to get that winning lane.
Exactly. I think we need to figure out, well, both teams need to figure out which lane are they attempting to actually get ahead. Because if it's the gold lane, cool. You have a solid mid game and you have solid advantage in the late game. But if you leave that EXP lane untouched, the macro game, the wave gameplay, the 1 and 4 split push strategy can be utilized to its utmost potential. And with side cuts, for example, in the XP lane, going up against Papdog as well, that is something that you do not want happening.
Welcome to the land of Dawn, ladies and gentlemen. Team Indonesia here with Taz starting on the purple buff and Jotun on that Karina on the orange buff. Let's see here, Taz. One question I do have currently is what emblem is he going to go for? He opts to go for the high and dry. And now you can already see that it's going to be the mystery shop as well from Karina, as Erwin is going to get bursted down by the damage from the Fanny early on. And man,
that is a lot of damage. That is what the high and dry is going to bring to the table. Taz is going to be very aggressively moving around, going for those 1v1s. And unless Argentina has solid control in the lanes, then they can actually, that's how they need to play to get the opportunities to shut down, to collapse onto Taz, who is going over aggressive.
Here, though, Jotun is going to have a bit of a rougher time in his jungle as Taz was able to pick up that kill. It is going to be a 1-kill lead early on so far, but that's something that can really get the snowball going for Team Indonesia right now as Dreams just gets out that perfect match. Jotun still is able to get level 4 a bit faster than Taz, though, even after suffering that invade early on.
Have to watch that there's no real counter to the engage coming in from Erwin with the Flicker Fatal Links combo. No Purifies, for example, but we'll have to see. Does Indonesia have a strategy in mind, a counter? Maybe through maneuvering to positioning. We have to see later in the mid game. But for now, the Atlas cannot be as aggressive when it comes to these skirmishes. So we'll have to wait until about level 4. And now with the first turtle spawning, you can see action building up near that top side.
Both teams are playing it a bit passive here early on, but wait a minute, a solo kill in the gold lane by Brands, the Indonesian king of marksmen. there as he is able to actually win out up against
Whoa.
the damage. Taz, out of nowhere with Dreams, finds the Divine Judgment. Now Taz just going mad with the cables. And that's going to be Hijume who picks up a double kill. Papa Dog caught in his own jungle. Psychot just does some damage, puts him back, and forces him to recall. 2 minutes in, and it's Indonesia who has a pretty solid lead.
Just like that, 2 kills on the table. That is how fast. That is the X factor we talk about whenever Indonesia is being mentioned. Out of nowhere, these plays will just keep happening, so Argentina need to be on their toes. The composition of Indonesia is all about that pickoff, so they cannot leave their member alone. I think we saw Meteoro use the Cult Altar, but it was just a bit too late, unfortunately, and that cannot happen again, because that is one of the core ways they have to counter Indonesia right now.
3 minutes in, that's a turtle secured for free by Indonesia. Psychot's in that XP lane as well, getting a pretty substantial lead with Brands doing the same. So far, all 3 lanes are controlled by Indonesia. And this is a good read as well. Brands knows something is up, knows that Erwin has been missing on the map for quite a long time, so he plays it safe. Meanwhile, Indonesia, Dreams, and Hijume, they don't decide to rotate. They decide to just keep that pressure in the mid lane to, again, relieve some of that pressure from the other lanes.
I'm just waiting for the time where Taz will start exploding out of nowhere, because right now it's a ticking time bomb, man. He is farming up, but once he feels that he has the necessary items, he's about to go absolutely wild. And as you say that,
oh my goodness, Taz does so much damage. Hijume pops that black shoes to run away from Erwin's possible engage here. As Psychot's trying to make his way into that mid lane, just again opening up the map for the rest of his teammates. And that damage is absolutely absurd, man. Meteoro just disappeared. They're trying to do it onto Erwin right now with the Divine Judgment, but Erwin pops that perfect match. Very well timed to get out of the Divine Judgment.
Taz on the Fanny right now, an absolute menace. And I don't think anyone from Argentina can deal with him 1v1. They need to find a way, a team fight, force him into these situations where the high and dry won't really have a lot of impact. He won't be able to actually get those solo kills, but it's easier said than done. As we say that,
oh man, he used the Shadow Stampede. The Cold Altar HP is gone just like that, but Meteoro has the flicker. You can see the kill pressure already from Taz on the Fanny. That's why it's a signature pick, and that's why usually we see it banned out.
the Cult Altar, man, we talked about how it's only very situationally good against teams with limited amounts of damage, maybe big burst damage, so that the second life can be preserved for, for your team to actually have more impact. But when the Cult Altar HP gets taken out like that, it's too dangerous.
Erwin with a perfect match again has to use it defensively. A very different Atlas gameplay for Erwin here today, as Meteoro is going to be chunked low, goes in for Shadow Stampede, Dreams gets targeted down, but it's only the Roamer. A shutdown as Jotun puts Argentina on the board, but it's Taz who picks up a trade up top. Taz now going on to Papa Dog with a cutthroat as well. The flicker ready to save Papa Dog, but it's still a solid trade, 1-for-1 right now.
It's unfortunate Hijume was the one who actually fell in the engagement. He is the one with 3 kills right there. So it's not ideal. I think he chased a bit too much. But of course, we see again the damage potential coming in from Indonesia. A lot of poke damage. And if you get too low, Taz does not waste any time at all securing that kill, taking you out of the Land of Dawn.
Now it just goes to the discipline game, right? They already have a pretty good lead, 3,000 gold. That's going to be building again. Taz looking for that play, jumps in just to bait out that Cult Altar, and now it's gone. Meteoro has nowhere to go.
Bro.
A brilliant decision by Taz as well. He didn't get turret aggro, so he just played around the minions, forced Meteoro to pop that Cult Altar. It's pretty impressive.
Very impressive. And it's just too fast. If you wait for the right moment, you might get taken out before using it, but the Fatal Link is being used, Mirko.
Only to Dreams right now, who is the Roamer, who can soak in a whole lot of damage, and now it comes down to Taz, who's able to rotate down below. Jotun finds a pick, Brands gets taken down. That's going to be a 2v1 situation, a 2-for-1 trade as well, but it is going to be equalized in that mid lane. Psychots, flickers forward, gets the double kill, and makes it a 3-for-2.
That axe accuracy coming in from Psychots. A 3-for-2, not ideal, but I guess at this point, Argentina need to get themselves on the board right here. If they play a bit too safe, they're just waiting for the members of Indonesia to set up for the next play. And as we can see, it can come just like that. Divine Judgments, bravest fighters, and of course, Taz just slice and dice him all the way through in the back line.
the damage. Look at that. He went for 2 items early on. It's going to be the Heptaseas and also the Malefic Roar. So he knows that Argentina are going to start to pile up on that physical defense. Going for just physical penetration as early as 7 minutes in the game will basically mean he'll deal true damage.
Not to mention, he is up against essentially 3 heroes that can go tank, so it's a very smart adjustment decision in the item builds. And now with that lead, Indonesia is just pressuring away the members of Argentina from this turtle. They're still able to secure the purple buff, but right now, full control for Indonesia, unless Argentina does something unexpected. Erwin, with that flicker, we've seen him make the plays happen, but can he replicate the same success?
2 ultimates burnt out by Taz.
What?
Go away. Cult Alter, 2 very crucial ultimates when it comes down to the team fight. And just like that, the engage potential that Argentina had, the pick potential with Erwin, it disappears because of the counter engage that Indonesia can constantly threaten with. Dreams jumps in, finds the Divine Judgment onto Meteoro, knowing he does not have that Cult Alter. And Brands picks him up like it's nothing. Dreams now opening up the map, gonna be targeted down. Dreams gonna be taken down by Argentina. A 1-for-1, but it is the mid laner taken down for the roamer.
Look at the mid lane though, the wave management coming in from the Indonesians. We've talked about this since the drafting phase, and Argentina is absolutely feeling it. Even when they get a kill, it doesn't look like they're getting any control, and look at the aggression.
Papa Dog dove under the tier 1. Taz styling and Hijume picks up the kill. Papa Dog 0-1 currently. Again, he tried his best early on. He went even in lane against Psychots, but because Taz has had such a good time around the map, just getting kills and getting the snowball rolling, he can start to melt these tanks down. Psychots up top waiting in the bush, jumps in with the Bravest Fighter, forces the go away before the fight even starts. Erwin is forced to use the perfect match now as Psychots gets caught, but he baits enough of the resources out. One frontliner for another. Erwin for Psychots as Indonesia looks for the re-engage. And Taz is a monster. Jumps in like it's nothing, jumps out like it's nothing.
How is he able to maneuver like in curves on a fanny? We see linear
Straight
movements
lines, yeah.
with the cables, but this man, he is drifting right now.
It does feel like he's drifting, you know, he's playing those cables in a way where it looks like he is actually going around the walls. But this is his signature pick. This is the reason we usually never see it get left open.
And this man was a mid laner, so now in the jungle position, this man is just flexing all this mechanical skills, the killer instinct as well. And when he is that accurate with the cables, how can you like play as a backliner for Argentina, but Papadog is the one being targeted?
Melted down instantly here by Psychots and Brands. Erwin tried his best to pop that conceal and the perfect match to reach towards his teammate, but Papadog just gets bursted down too fast because, again, of the items. Even Brands with the Hunter Strike in the Malefic Roar, with the POD completed so early on. Man, he can actually just burst that whole team. Yeah, right as I say it, on cue, Brands pops that Renner, gets Meteoro to a quarter of his HP, swaps to the Bennett and clears out the wave easily with the BOD completed. Now, I need to ask you a question, Arashi. Argentina, how do they come back in the game, if it's even still possible?
They need to get a shot down somehow, some way, man. I mean, they have some tools to get a catch, but they need to make the proactive movement. They can't wait for Indonesia to go in like this.
Well, the Cult Ultra's there.
Oh, no!
Erwin gets baited in by Taz with the cables. Meteoro falls as well as that Psychots who finds the double. Brands completing the Haas Claws will mean that he will no longer need to recall. He can just hit a few minions, go for a few creeps in the jungle, and get back to full HP. Jotun trying his best to look for a play. Toss and Brands with that combo. The snipe from the purple buff and Taz with the cables as Psychos jumps in once again onto the Bravest Fighter. But it is going to be the go-away pop as well by Argentina. Meteoro backing off. Call Ultra already used. 11 minutes in and 2 base turrets have fallen.
See the discipline coming in from the Indonesians, having so much momentum and yet so patient. Snipe does not connect from Brands, but like I said, now with the Cold Altar, when do you pop it? Is it when Taz comes flying in? Is it when Brands is charging up the Snipe because he can one-shot you as well? It's such a tough situation, especially when all the responsibility is on you to keep your teams alive. Meteoro with a Cult Alter, and we can see that Erwin, he is definitely feeling the pressure. He needs to make a play, but if he tries too hard, if he forces it, this is what will happen. Indonesia can absolutely take over.
12 minutes in. This is, so far today, we have seen longer games than yesterday, right? I think the longest game we saw yesterday was 11 minutes, and today we saw a game go all the way. Dreams, though, looking for the pick, finds it like it's nothing, but it's going to be the Cult Alter, which is placed down. Taz looking for the plays, waiting for the Cult Alter HP to be shrink down, to be melted down as he goes in for a re-engage. Getting the base turret, getting back as well, baiting a whole lot of resources for Brands to free hit on that back line. 2 members falling for Argentina. Meteoro and Civ, the 2 damage dealers, are still up, but the snipes connects onto Civ, and that will mean Civ will have to recall. Taz finally rejoining his team, jumps in onto Johnson, goes in for the cut though, finds Meteoro, and he's looking for a double kill, looking for a triple kill onto Civ now. He does get it in the end. A triple kill for Taz up against Argentina in a dominant game 1.
Dominant for sure. This is why the Fanny has been so prioritized. It is disgusting. What is that damage, my guy? It comes in, it's just so much damage so fast. Because if there's some time for Argentina to try and react to it, to try and counter it, maybe there'll be some kind of fighting chance. But within a split second, even with the Cult Alter, it's just instantly taken out.
It's so tough to play around that, and
lethal.
We did talk a little bit about that, right? We did mention that this Cult Alter and the composition that Argentina went for is a composition that really struggles up against a mobile assassin like the Fanny. If you want to look for that Fatal Links, you're not going to be able to find it at will up against a Fanny. You need to firstly chain him down, lock him down, or force him to make a mistake, using all of his energy before you actually go for it. No one was able to lock down the Fanny. That was the main concern from us casters as well when we dissected Argentina's draft, and that's what came back to haunt Argentina in the game. No lockdown whatsoever means that the Fanny can free hit.
All the way in the early game, man, even the tankiest of members from the side of Argentina gets melted down, and they are constantly guessing. Is Taz going to come from above, from below, from the sides, all over the place? And to make things worse, even when they're being careful about the Fanny engage, you can see that Psychots with the signature just flanking around. It's just so difficult. Indonesia essentially have so many different tools to bait out this utility. Even if they don't want to get close, they can just use Brands and go for those snipes to try and soften up the targets. And then from there, Taz can go in, Dreams can go in with the Divine Judgment, Psychots can dive in as well. So Argentina, they have just so many problems that they can't have any solutions to. And slowly but surely, Indonesia just abused the mobility, the speed, the wave clear as well. We talked about this. Look at the waves, man. Indonesia always have control. And when Argentina shows up on the map, Indonesia spent no time at all just punishing the fact that they even dare show themselves in the Land of Dawn.
Again, right? The Cult
The
Alter,
curves.
the curves as well from Taz there. The moment he tries or the moment he pulls the trigger is always when that Cult Alter has been popped up. This is the moment where, again, Taz went in, Erwin looked for an engage, but Taz was just too slick with the movement, enabling his team to look for that re-engage right as the Fatal Links gets popped in. And this was that final moment where Taz, again, waited for the go away, waited for the Cult Alter, jumps back in right on cue, and he jumps back out, baiting Papa Dog to walk back up so that he can get gunned down by Brands. In the late stage as well, Civ, he pops the Wind of Nature, and once he does that, he will have no more resources to actually defend himself. Obviously, your match MVP will go to the hands of this man right here, Taz. The mid laner, the jungler. At one point, he actually was the goal laner as well for EVOS.
You're right.
This man has been playing all the roles, and you can see that the experience has helped him to actually look for these ganks, look for these openings around the map.
He just knows how to read the situation. He knows when is the most optimal time to go in and go out, because there's so many times where it seems like he predicts the counter play coming and he mind games them instead. And then once you're in that situation, now you're concerned. Is he here, is Taz going to go in all in, or is he just baiting out? And when you're hesitating, you get taken out by everything, the follow-up, the dive coming in from Indonesia. And of course, player spotlight here is going to be Hijume from Indonesia as well. He is one of the main wave clear tools in that early game. He was also a lot of slows, a lot of DPS whenever the team just wants to go for those objectives. It all began with the laning phase, right? The game always starts there. And honestly, if you roll it back, right before the first kill from Taz, I think we were just talking about how he's waiting for the right moment, and then blink and you'll miss it.
You know, it's so sad because if you take a look at the draft, Arashi, I think the main mistake started there for Argentina, where they went for 2 bans and maybe they just mistimed it. They did not go for the 3rd ban. The 3rd ban was empty.
Right.
No ban by Argentina. And I think that was the Fanny ban. That's where the Fanny was supposed to go for Argentina, right? They wanted to do it maybe, but again, we have seen only 2 bans for one team in the first phase.
It's definitely a disadvantage. I mean, in some tournaments, right? If you don't display sportsmanship, for example, they punish you by removing 1 ban. So that's definitely a big problem. And it's really unfortunate that that was the case for this game. But of course, there's still game number 2, where Argentina might just start mounting a reverse sweep. We have seen that happen. We are no stranger to reverses in the world of Mobile Legends. Teams are very, very competent, and they have that mental fortitude to go the distance.
Absolutely. You know, looking at a team as young as Argentina, they can only go up from here. It's the learning progress for them. Losing game number 1 after making a fatal error in the draft will mean that this is a lot of room for them to, again, improve, progress, coming into game number 2 up against Indonesia.
Exactly. I mean, if they want to try and go for the same thing, Indonesia right now, they're just showing so many different looks. And I think Argentina is the team that needs to just make all these adjustments, right? If they can't solve all the problems, they need to try and figure out which ones can they solve and what advantage can they get to get the best situation possible. Because it's no secret that sometimes, right, you're just forced to embrace the fact that there's just so many things that you can't deal with. Let's say the mechanical skills, the mechanical advantage from the players. But what can you adjust to get the best outcome? That is the main task for the coaches right now. That will all go back to the beginning, the drafting phase. Once we go from there, maybe we'll see the execution being amended as well. But so far, I think Argentina had the right idea. It's just maybe a bit too little too late.
Let's take a look at it again, right? Fanny, Kaja, Beatrix as well, Lilia. I feel like all 4 of those heroes are comfort picks for all 4 of the Indonesian members. So again, Argentina will have a short break with Indonesia. Before we get into game 2, we will do so as well. As Mirko and Arashi will be back.
So today we have Philippines that will be competing in Mobile Legends in World Esports Championship 2022, and I have a few questions to ask. So the first question, are you satisfied with your performance in this match?
In this match against Slovenia?
Yes.
Yeah, I think we're very satisfied with our we're very satisfied in this match versus Slovenia. But in EVOS, I think we still have some things to work out.
Okay. So what is your key factor to help you to win in this match versus Slovenia?
Key factor.
Ano key factor?
Factor. What's the key factor?
The key factor is we work together.
Yeah, we use our UB strategy.
Yeah.
Do you think there are things that you can make improvement for the better match?
More practice. Yeah, and adjust on cell phone use.
So you will facing other country in your next match against Vietnam, right? So will you use the same strategy?
Yeah, we still have more strategies we're not showing yet. We're gonna show it in our next match. Yeah.
So what is your biggest challenge to beat your opponent?
Biggest challenge. I think our biggest challenge is adjusting to the phones and the comms. Because the comms is delay and the sound is very weak. And I think the biggest adjustment is the phone because we use iPhone in our country.
Yeah. So how confident are you to win this competition?
How confident are you in this?
100%. Confident. Yeah, 100%.
So this is the last question. Who is the tough enemy in this competition?
We think I think Indonesia and Cambodia, Malaysia. Yeah.
Cambodia and Malaysia.
They are competitive. Yeah.
So okay, that's all for my question. Thank you for your time, and I hope the best for you all this competition.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Congratulations, Philippines.
Thank you. Support Philippines.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very much. Indonesia that will be competing in Mobile Legends Bang Bang in World Esports Championship 2022. And I have a few questions to ask. So the first question: are you all satisfied with your performance in this match?
Hey, go Japan. Yeah. Bakay Bas English. So for this match, I think we will take this. So we're happy, but we're not too satisfied. Our to win the whole championship.
So the next question: what is your key factor that helped you to win this match?
Key factor that was win this match is everyone's hard work. Everyone really put in the effort, the time, and mainly just trust between everyone over here and everyone doing their job. Because without everyone's contribution, we wouldn't have been able to do it.
So even you have won the match, do you think there are things that you can improve for the next match?
There's definitely many things that we can improve. There was a lot of mistakes that we made as well in both games, so we will look through our games and fix our errors.
Okay, so you will be facing other country in your next match, right?
Yeah.
Will you use the same strategy for the next game?
Strategy-wise, we cannot really disclose, but I can assure that we still have other strategies out there, and we will see what we want to pull out for each different team. The biggest challenge was because I think Philippines is the favorites, and there's a lot of pressure because our players are all new, and this is our first time representing Indonesia itself. So I feel like the biggest challenge is just the pressure itself. It feels really great to win the M3 champions, but we know that there's a possibility that they will make a comeback, and we will eventually might face them again. So we're happy for now, but we're not too happy yet.
We know that the weather in Bali is hot, right? And when the game is on the upper stage, so does the weather affect for the match?
I would say the setup overall is really good. The weather doesn't really affect us, and the setup, the equipment, everything covers the weather, so we don't really feel the heat. Thank you so much.
Indonesia! Jaya, jaya, jaya! Okay, thank you. Congratulations, Indonesia!
Thank you.
Okay, so hello everyone. We have Daki here as an ex-professional Mobile Legends player from Indonesia.
Okay, hello.
So the first question is, what do you think about this match, Indonesia versus Philippines?
Hello match ya, pakai bahasa Indonesia aja ya. Jadi menurutku matchnya itu bagus banget, tapi menurutku Indonesia masih punya PR karena secara early Filipina lebih bagus, masih lebih bagus, tapi
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, with Mirko and Rashi on the English caster desk for game number 2. Let's see, once again, Indonesia on match point 1-0, taking the lead early on with a dominant game with the Fanny.
That Fanny is just too dangerous to let loose, honestly. Especially in the hands of Taz. It's a signature hero that people just absolutely avoid. It's always banned, it's always picked away. And I think Argentina learned it the hard way. So we have to see what the adjustments are. I hope they don't try and counter it with a pick, because I think this man has seen it all. He knows how to deal with it. I think banning it is the safe option. And as Mirko mentioned, there was a ban slot available, so I think that will be where the Fanny will be placed.
Now I do have a question, right, for Argentina. Do they want to actually swap their sides here and opt to go for the red side, or do they want to stick to the blue side and this time just look to go for that ban earlier, right? Find that ban. It does seem like they are going to swap sides, though. Argentina now on the red side. prioritizing again the 2 picks. But you can see the Kaja ban already for Argentina, and for Indonesia, it's Diggy again.
So they switch sides, so they're forced to ban out Dead Joy. If things go that way, so we'll have to see.
That's 1 ban slot gone.
If they trade Fanny for the Joy, it's not that much better. So I'm wondering what the plan is. We'll have to see. Indonesia bans away the Faramis, very curiously enough. I didn't think that personally the Faramis was that big of an issue, but perhaps Indonesia has a different plan in mind. The Joy, as predicted, is banned away. So now it seems like Argentina is going to be forced to ban this Fanny unless they are willing to fight Indonesia on their own terms.
The Joy ban comes through, Arashi. They are not looking to trade it off. But like you mentioned, with the Joy ban now, with Argentina opting to go for the red side, it does give them a lot more heroes to actually look for to ban. Leomord, Martis, again, 2 heroes that so far we haven't seen this series, but can still definitely come up. Fanny, Valentina, Wanwan. There's so many bans that you can prioritize, that you can go for here. At this point, Argentina and Indonesia, it does feel like both of them just want to let everything go. Let's trade, you know? We'll ban Valentina, but we'll still leave all those heroes open, and it's now up to Argentina to decide whether they want to trade with Fanny, Wanwan. I think with the Fanny, like you mentioned, don't try to counter it, right? The Fanny's been banned every single game so far, even against other teams.
Not just
against
Indonesia.
us.
It is a very, very strong hero. Mobility, dueling prowess, burst damage, speed. Fanny has so many attributes in her favor. Speed. And for Indonesia, they have that Valentina banned out, and I've been very surprised with how willing teams are to let go of that Valentina. It's been working out for a lot of teams, but Indonesia will have none of it. And with that Fanny ban, that means we're gonna see the Wan.
I'm a happy man. My hero finally coming up in Iesf, because I was thinking I'm cursed, because every time you cast,
this is the second 1-1.
Exactly. When you and Momo-chan casted and the 1-1 was picked up, I was like, dang, I wanted to be the one who casted 1-1. Finally, I get a chance to. 1-1 picked up, first picked by Indonesia, but 1-1 is a hero that now has counterplay. You can actually counter it with a lot of movement, a lot of mobility. Argentina pick up a hero with mobility that can help other members as well with the utility. Mathilda pick up, but they can also just go for something. I think for the Irithel, it's a bit too early. They already see that.
Ooh.
There you go. Range as well becomes an answer.
And utility.
The utilities coming in, and obviously the damage that's just been adjusted.
Well, I'm a happy man. You already know I love myself some Iesf.
So you're Team Argentina and I'm Team Indonesia based on our heroes.
Oh, hang on. Is this how it's gonna be? I'll have to see for the draft. So far, I think Iesf has a lot of potential, and combined with a movement, as you mentioned, Mirko, with the guiding winds, it allows Argentina to be very fluid with their approach to big team fights. But of course, Indonesia has something to say about that as well. If they get crowd control of their own, some dive, for example, I think they can still throw a wrench in the plans of Argentina. It will be a Lolita and a Beatrix? Oh, but sorry, a Benedetta. Both B, my bad.
Both B, both BE actually, right?
Ooh.
And here, it is also the Lolita pickup, like you mentioned, Arashi. Again, Lolita is a hero that can actually act as a counter as well towards the Wanwan. Nullifying the crossbow attack, even the first ability, so that it does not hit that weakness point on the back. But Argentina now can just go for something like the Irithel, a hero that's super solid with the Electro Flash up against the Wanwan with the sprint as well, can usually shut the Wanwan down. But Argentina decide to opt for Jotun's comfort pick. This is a hero we saw he was able to pop off on yesterday up against Slovenia, and they're trying to find that same success.
He will be trying to use the Hayabusa against a Wanwan though. A very slippery hero, a lot of mobility. Now we're already into the second banning phase. What will they ban away? Because for Argentina, it seems like speed is their go-to method of operation here. Indonesia has a lot more combos in the bag. They can go for the Electro Final Blow, Petrify combo, followed up by a Numinant Blast, or vice versa. So I'm not quite sure. I think Indonesia will be trying to stop those big movements, and Argentina will be trying to deny any kind of disengage, and the Akai has been denied away from the hands of Indonesia.
Let's see, with the bans, Akai becomes the option for Argentina right now. And that's the Irithel, like we mentioned, a solid counter to the 1-1. I do feel like it might be a bit of a mistake from Argentina not to pick that Irithel earlier, because again, with that Irithel, it's almost a guaranteed winning lane in a 1v1. 1-1 is, oh man, if you bring Electro Flash and your sprint, you just can't lose. I've never been able to actually win out against an Irithel alone, right? You need help, and that's the thing. If Argentina picked it up, they could have actually created more pressure or opened up more for the other lanes.
And they can force Indonesia to try and do things differently as well. As you mentioned, being able to force your opponents to play the way you want them to is a big advantage. It allows you to predict, to counter, to plan, especially towards that mid game. So Argentina will not have that advantage, and they will ban away the Gushin as well. I wonder what Taz is going to come up with right here. No Gushin, no Fanny. If he comes out with a crazy assassin, he's going to go head-to-head against Jotun on that Hayabusa.
3 respect bans over to Taz right now. And Indonesia, honestly, at this point, might just go for another gold lane ban, right? They already have the Irithel ban. We saw Civ actually play a whole lot of heroes from today and even from yesterday against Slovenia. He went for the Bruno. We saw him on the Beatrix as well. And just now, again, he was on the Melissa. So he's played 3 different heroes in 3 different games. Indonesia might want to nullify that, might want to go for it right now with the Beatrix ban. There you go. That's exactly what they go for. Argentina, oh!
Whoa!
Shadow picking the Natan, which is a very interesting move. Natan is a hero we haven't seen in a long time in the gold lane, especially up against a 1-1 that can really bully you, up against a Lolita that can soak in everything you've got, even with that entropy. Well, it becomes a pick that is risky.
It's a bit of a mixed bag with Natan. A lot of mixed damage, right, with how he operates. And oh, he goes for the shadow picks. We keep saying that this is not okay.
Haha.
It's moving around though. But let's go, Argentina. Make up your mind. We have to like comment on this.
No, keep on juking Arashi, just like Messi.
Let's just wait.
But here we go. I'm honestly just wishing for a Bruno here, but he does go for the Clint. If it's not the Irithel, another hero that does extremely well in lane up against the 1-1, it's that Clint, right? With the superior range and obviously the CC as well. Technically, the route that he has in his arsenal, it's just so good to go up against the 1-1 early on. But as we all know, Clint is very easy to pick off, and Indonesia are trying to punish that, hovering over that Selena to put some more kill pressure down. Remember, in 1v1, Clint wins, but it's never 1v1 in the gold lane anymore.
Exactly. And now with a Lolita, it's a very oppressive hero in the early game because you're actually tanky, but you have a deceptive amount of damage. It doesn't seem like it's going to be a lot, but it is a lot. And yikes, it's going to be the Youth Song and the Lilia. So is this a jungle Benedetta?
It is a jungle, unless they pull off a jungle Yuzong. We saw it once before, not by Taz.
Phoveus is the attempt to counter from Argentina. But as we've mentioned before, I think, Phoveus isn't a hard counter for a 1-1. It can be a problem, especially if Phoveus is doing well. But otherwise, a 1-1 can absolutely outplay around that demonic force.
Both heroes that Argentina are trying to counter with the Phoveus, 1-1 and Benedetta, have counterplay to the Phoveus, right? The Benedetta can just time the dashes with the demonic force, and same for the 1-1. It's the same case. 1-1 can just dash out of that demonic force range when he pops it, right? You do get another proc, but if you're brought back to the base, it will not matter in the end. And that's the thing we've mentioned many times before. But Arashi, there is a catch. If Phoveus wins in the early stage, gets to a point where he actually does so much damage, before 1-1 gets the attack speed to be able